guys, and welcome to my 34th video. Thank you so much for joining me if you are a return subscriber, or hello if you are new. My name's Adrina. I'm an Australian teacher, a Teachers Pay teacher seller, and a mum. So things get a little bit crazy around here, especially today, because we're going to be talking about something completely different to what I've even mentioned on my channel before, but I think it's going to be quite valuable for those people that are kind of wondering about their mindset when it comes to Teachers Pay teachers. So basically in the video, I'm going to just go over some thoughts that I have had recently about how to go about Teachers Pay teachers and how your mindset can really portray whether you succeed or whether you don't succeed on Teachers Pay teachers. First of all, just say by no means am I earning thousands and thousands of dollars on Teachers Pay teachers. I'm not at a monetary value where I can say that I've experienced serious monetary success, but what I can say is being on the ground level in this beginning phase of my journey on Teachers Pay teachers, I am probably feeling a similar way to some of you guys that are out there, or can relate to a lot of those people that are just looking into starting Teachers Pay teachers or wanting to start Teachers Pay teachers. And over, the last 2 years, so I've got 2 stores, as some of you might know. One was my resource store that I've had for almost 2 years. Actually, tomorrow I would have had the creative table for 2 years, and Tealazzo Clipart, linked to this channel, is actually under a year. So I'm still learning that. I'm still in my beginning years on Teachers Pay teachers, basically. My beginning phase of growing on Teachers Pay teachers. But what I can say is over the last few years, I have tried my best to soak up any sort of information I can, literally like a sponge. Like I am a sponge right now. I am like, give me all the information so I can make my own truths about the matter and just let me learn. Like I think as educators, as teachers, we're always kind of in that realm of like, we're lifelong learners. As a teacher, we are always learning. There's always something to be learned, and we really thrive off that understanding and learning. At least for me, I'm speaking for myself here, at least I do. And so that's kind of what made me think about making this video on Teachers Pay teachers mindset, because over the last few years I have learned a few things, from never basically selling $1 online to earning my first $1 online, and then and making kind of my ideas become reality. And not only that, but also making progress in a monetary sense. Even though it's not a lot right now, the fact that I've made, when I look at my mindset 2 years ago when I first started, it is completely different to the mindset I have now. Now that I've done it for 2 years on my first store and under a year still on Tealazzo, but I've still learned a lot from both stores and through the process. This video I wasn't actually going to make, but I thought, I just had a calling to want to create this video. I was at the gym this morning and I heard something on a podcast that kind of triggered this momentum for me to be like, okay, let me create this because I think someone out there might need it. And so here I am. Now, I've always been the type of person that has been quite intrigued and quite fascinated about the mind, and I really love mindset learning. I literally am someone that goes out actively to listen to podcasts, listen to anything that kind of expands my own understanding of the world, expands my own knowledge, and just especially when it comes to the mind, I find it so fascinating why some people can utilize their mind in a specific way to get them to where they want to go. But not only that, to just help them improve their life in general. So basically, with that being said, in this video I'm going to be talking about the Teachers Pay teachers mindset, my foundational key pillars that I've learned over the last couple of years doing this, and just a few handy tips that I think might help someone out there that is just beginning this journey. So if that interests you at all, I think you'll like this video. Okay, so let me just first start off with a little story. I'm still in my gym wear because I was at the gym this morning, and yesterday night I was like to myself, okay, Monday morning I'm going to take myself to the gym and do a gym session. I used to be someone that used to go to the gym all the time, and just obviously after having a baby, that's been quite hard to be able to go to the gym and so it can only be on selected days where I have my little man in daycare. And so today I got up, I dropped my son off at daycare, and I basically didn't overthink it. I went straight to the gym, put my headphones in, put my podcast on, and I worked out. And throughout that workout, it was good, but basically I was listening to a podcast. The podcast that I was listening to was the Dean Graziosi podcast. I don't know if anyone listening knows him or whatnot, but I really like this phrase that he says a lot in his podcast, and it's "you win when nobody's watching." And I find that to be so true. I find that to be such a powerful statement that I can really resonate with, because a lot of the time when we're talking about teachers pay teachers, or even to be honest in life or in business in general, a lot of what we don't see for someone's success is the behind the scene things that you don't see, like the late nights, the early mornings, blood, sweat and tears that goes into this, the sacrifice that it goes into this, you know, the fights, the discussions, the researching, all of these things that we don't necessarily see from a frontal view, but we look at someone and we say, oh, they've experienced so much success, but we don't see it from the behind the scenes all the time. And it can be very easily to judge someone, say, oh, you know, they had it easy, but that's not always necessarily the case. And that's why I sort of wanted to talk about this as a mindset for teachers pay teachers, because if anything that I've learned sort of over the last couple of years and months that I've sort of been doing this, I'm at a spot, you know, when I think about it, 2 years ago, I was in such a completely different spot in my TPT journey, and it's taken me this long to be even at this stage. So I just wanted to really basically talk about key foundations that I'm going to basically tell you about, that I'm utilizing within my own self for my own practice to move forward in this as a business. I need a tea for this before I go any further with this. So, got my green tea. I would just say, so 2 years ago to the day tomorrow, literally, this is probably good timing that I'm actually making this video. 2 years ago, I remember, so I started Teachers Pay Teachers. You can watch my comparison for the two stores to really get an in-depth understanding of my story, but basically I remember I started it on March 1st of 2020. March 1st of 2022, tomorrow. So, of my first store, not Tealazzo, but of my first store. So, in saying that, I remember my mindset at that time was literally so different. I had basically in December of 2019, we'd gone to England. We spent a few weeks there with my partner's family, and then we were on our way back in January of 2020 to come back to Australia. And an hour before getting on a plane to come back to Australia, I found out I was pregnant with my son. And that literally changed everything. So at that time, 2019 was pretty full on for me, personally and professionally, so I struggled quite a lot really in 2019. And this is another reason why I really am into mindset training, because if I didn't have a strong mind, I wouldn't have got through some of the things I had to endure throughout that year. So come back, and I was actually kind of trying to navigate my way out of education. At the end of 2019, I was kind of like exhausted, done. I just went through a lot that year. And so when I come back to Australia, that's where, like in March in Australia here, that's where the pandemic of coronavirus started to kind of really kick off. And I was like, oh goodness, I don't feel safe or comfortable going into relief teaching, because I was actually going to do a beauty course and relief teach on the side. That's kind of where I was at with my educational journey. I was kind of that exhausted that I was like almost done with education. I was like, oh, you know, I could quit right now because of how exhausted and how full on 2019 was. But instead I was like, okay, let me just do my beauty course on the side, and let me just so I can just build up a qualification and then do education as relief teaching to help with income. So I remember when the coronavirus really hit, and I was like, you know, I can't go into work, because not only that, the year before, this is part of the reason too, you know, in 2019, me and my partner actually experienced a miscarriage, so a pregnancy loss. And you know, I'm very open about talking about it. I have no qualms with that, and I know that's kind of a taboo topic, and I'm sorry if that is, you know, upsetting to anyone, because I know how it feels. And so we went through that, and that was a part of the reason why when I thought about going back to work in 2020 with the whole coronavirus thing happening, I was like, oh no, I can't. I need to have the most successful, happy, safe, stressless pregnancy that I can for this pregnancy this time around. And because I was so stressed in that first pregnancy, I don't think that did any good for myself mentally. And so, you know, I went through that, and it was really hard. So I remember literally thinking, okay, well, if I'm not going to go to work, because when you work with children, you can't really social distance, and your immunity being pregnant is already compromised as your immunity lowers itself for you to keep a pregnancy. And so literally I was just like, oh goodness, what can I do? So I was at home in March and I thought to myself, oh, what can I do? Literally, what can I do? What skills do I have to use to, make some sort of money, to be able to make an income of some sort while I'm home and while I'm pregnant? And so basically that's where Teachers Pay Teachers came in. I remember online, like going onto YouTube and like literally typing in like, ways to, and so obviously it started from a space of me trying to find a way to earn money. I didn't necessarily need it to be a fast way to earn money, but I wanted it to be something that I could build, something that I could use my skills in, something that I truly loved. Because one thing I learned in 2019 was it doesn't matter how much you paid, you need to really enjoy what you do. And that's one thing that for me is becoming more clearer as the days go by, as you need to put yourself first in some cases and do something what you enjoy, especially when it comes to work. And so having that year off, so when I started in March, I literally remember I posted like my first couple of products, and I remember feeling really upset and down and thinking, is this even something that I can do? Is this like, can I earn any money? Will anyone even want to buy my products? Like, I just really had not a lot of faith in myself at that point I knew I had skills in obviously being a teacher and things that I had learned from in the classroom, but what I didn't really have was the self-belief to know whether this could be something at all, to even earn a residual income at all. And I was at that spot. I remember me and my partner, here I am pregnant, and literally, we went down to the ocean, just down to the beach around the corner, and I remember literally just sitting on this bench and feeling so deflated because I had gone from earning a full-time income to being pregnant and having no money. Obviously, mind you, my partner's we're together team, as we say, and he was able to support me through that, so I'm very grateful and lucky. But it took a massive hit for me personally to be like, well, what is something that I can do if I'm going to be home for the next 9 months, if I'm not going to be able to get any money, especially with the whole time of the world with the coronavirus being kind of like in full peak, and then we had the lockdowns and stuff, so everyone was sort of home anyway, so it didn't feel as bad for me to be home. But the fact of the matter was, like, the money thing was an issue for me. So I was like, okay, sitting on there thinking, is this gonna work? Is this even can I earn any money on this? This is my resource store, the creative table. And literally I put that out to the world, and I was like, you know what? I said to my partner, I said to him, I will work. I had a flip. I had a mindset flip. I was like, I literally will work for 5-10 months, whatever it takes till I get my first sale. I will do whatever it takes. I will learn this. I will do whatever I can to, make this work in a way that I can earn my first dollar or even my first kind of sale. And lo and behold, that determination, that sort of mindset shift in myself, the next day was when I earned my first dollar, or had my first sale. And I tell you what, guys, that first sale lit a fire in me. So, from that first sale, I was like, oh my goodness, I can do this. And I just kind of switched from having this kind of self-doubt, this disbelief, like, is this gonna work? I think just not knowing was the most scary part of it. To be able to put effort into this, not knowing it was gonna work, was the biggest part of the confusion as to like, why I had kind of the self-doubt. And I guess at that time too, all the hormones of being pregnant and just everything in general. So anyway, that's when it all really started. I don't want to make this story too long-winded, but I basically want to just lead back into this, saying my mindset 2 years ago when I was sitting on that bench pregnant, literally having an ice cream with my partner, and him kind of like thinking like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening? What are you doing? At the time, I didn't know what I was doing really either, but I had the belief that I could learn. I had the belief that I could do this, and I just had this drive that this was something I could build. This is something that I could make and do for myself. And you know, when you're like pregnant as well, you're like, I'm not just thinking about me now, I'm thinking about a potential child that is coming into my life. So for me, in my mind, I was like, if I can start this now at my early days of pregnancy and I can build it up over the next 9 months, at least when my son is born, I'll have, even if it's like a little bit of money, it doesn't have to be a lot at this point, but just to have something would be so helpful. And so that's basically what I did, and I built that up, and I built it from the ground up, and I built it, you know, and I'm speaking as if I'm like super successful, and I'm not speaking as, I'm not super monetarily successful, but what I can say is like these little successes are massive successes for me, especially coming from someone that is like never done this before online. This is so new to us, or new to me, new to like this whole online world. It's just, it's unreal in a way. Based off that story, mindset for me, like 2 years ago my mindset was that, but my mindset now 2 years later is, okay, I'm at a point where I'm earning money every month. I'm at a point now that even though it's not exactly my full-time wage or anything like that, it's still money that is still helpful. And I'm at this point where I'm like, okay, how can I further build? How can I further provide? How can I further serve? How can I help teachers when I'm not in the classroom as much? How can I help them at a level that I have the time to be able to spend? Well, I don't in some ways. I have to try and really be specific with my time having a child, but in the times that I do have time as a mum, how can I work on this for myself to build this business up? And let me just say, over the last few years, I have learned a few things, and I've come to some foundational pillars I basically want to share with you guys, just for the hopes that maybe one person will maybe feel like they resonate with this, or they understand where I'm coming from. Let's have a quick sip. When I first started Teachers Pay Teachers, one thing that kept on coming up over and over and over and over and over and over and over again was literally, TPT is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you're getting into this to be racing a sprint race, you're gonna not succeed, because this is not a sprint and you're gonna burn out. If you get into this knowing that it is a marathon, it is something that takes time, then you are going to have a lot more success in the long run. And that all comes down to mindset. But basically, let me just share with you guys my 3 foundational pillars that I've learned and that I'm sticking to moving forward into my next kind of couple of years into this Teachers Pay Teachers business. So if anything, my first pillar, and it's something that I've learned over time and something that I have learned basically not just having a Teachers Pay Teachers business, but having started a few other little things online. But one critical thing that a lot of people struggle with is delayed gratification. To have delayed gratification is such an essential thing to have. We live in a day and age where things are so instantaneous. Like on our phones, we can open up YouTube and type in whatever we want to learn, and it's there. At the click of a button, at the tip of our fingertips, it's there. We live in an age where we can literally call up someone and say, can you bring me food? This is what I want. And this comes to you in like 20 minutes. So we're in this age where things are based off convenience, and things are based off, you know, wanting things here and now. And so that's a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing is we lose that ability to have delayed gratification at times, because we're so used, it's our normality in some cases to have things so instantaneous. And so to have delayed gratification, especially delayed gratification that you don't need any external sources cheering you on, to have that as a key pillar in your business, because to have delayed gratification means you can keep on showing up even when you're not getting the return that you want. And in this kind of business of TPT, where it is a business where eventually it can become something that is more passively run, and you can get passive income, obviously there is work up front for sure, so it's never exactly passive, but in the long run of things, you can obviously make a product and have that sell for years and years and years and still earn residual income off that. What I'm saying basically with this key pillar, so when you're feeling like you've posted a product and you're like, oh, no one's bought it, or, you know, oh, no one's bought it for, you know, I've posted it, no one's bought it at all. I will give you this experience and say, literally, I had someone buy a product out of my first store, which had never sold before, only this year. When you first start something, you might think, oh, you know, I'm going to earn this much, or, you know, this person's earned this much, I can do that. But sometimes you get defeated or you feel deflated because you haven't reached those certain goals in your time limit that you thought that you could. And that's why delayed gratification is super important for you to be like, okay, although it's not earning me any money right now, doesn't mean it's not going to. And you just gotta kind of put your head down and just keep on going and keep on moving forward, regardless of if anyone's telling you, oh, that's good, or if that's not. You've really kind of gotta be your own little cheerleader when it comes to that with delayed gratification. And if there is one tip that I will say about the delayed gratification, if you're putting your value on your monetary success, maybe think about switching it in a way to putting your value or your time and effort and energy spent, if you're not getting that monetary success right away, putting that into the product creation, putting it into, okay, well, I can't control how much money I earn, but I can control how much products I make or quality of the product that I make, and I can put that out into the world and I can create something that eventually I can get monetary success from. So when you think of it, when you think of delayed gratification, you have to think of it, I guess, in a way as like, okay, you've just planted a seed. You don't expect an apple tree to grow overnight just from planting the seed yesterday. It takes time, it takes watering, it takes, nurturing this little plant to grow into a big apple tree. And it will go through stages, it will go through seasons, and it will go through a point where over time, you'll be the one sitting underneath a big apple tree and enjoying the apple tree shade. But it comes with time, it doesn't happen overnight. And that's where delayed gratification is so important to know. But over time, things grow as long as you water it. That means you're doing the work. As long as you water that seed, it'll turn into an apple tree, but you need to make sure you water it. So my next pillar is tunnel vision. What I've learned over the last couple of years is having tunnel vision and knowing your main goals, main objectives, main ideas of where you want to go with your business needs to be so strong that you just have tunnel vision. With success, you need to have this tunnel vision to be able to see what you want at hand and block out all the noise. So you've got this tunnel, you're going down this tunnel. So here, this might be things that are distracting you. You just need to have tunnel vision and know that the end goal is there, but you need to go down the tunnel. For me, I find that having tunnel vision and staying in my own lane and not worrying about whatever anyone else is doing, just having tunnel vision has been something that I've been able to get my head down and just do the work. Have this vision of what I want for my own life, to have accountability, to know that, okay, this is where I want to go and reach that, to get to that goal, I need to just block out all the extras and I just need to focus on me, focus on what I want, and focus on the things that matter to me. And that's, I think, a key pillar to success as well on Teachers Pay Teachers and in this business. My third pillar, which is probably the most important in a way, is literally just show up and do the work. 80%, 90% is just showing up. Literally just showing up, doing the work. So regardless of what, like similar to the tunnel vision, regardless of what is around, being like, okay, let's show up and let's do the work. Don't put it off for another day. Don't do this. When you're feeling, well, not even just when you're feeling inspired, there are moments, I guess, in this business where you feel really inspired. You're like, yes, I just got so much work done. And there's other times you're like, oh, I don't really feel like doing so much. So showing up, so making sure that you are proactively doing the work, proactively uploading when you can, high quality products that you enjoy, products that you feel like that would be valuable, that will serve people, having that attitude to be like, okay, let's do it. Let's, this is the things I can control. Let's show up. Let's do the work. Let's get into it. Pretty much a lot of just showing up will allow you to experience success a lot quicker than not showing up for yourself. And thinking about, okay, when I show up to do this, what is your true reason for it? Behind the scenes of just, I want to earn this, I want to earn that. What is your true meaning? Do you want financial freedom? Do you want independence? Do you want control of your own life? Do you want to have this as a side hustle or something that's a creative outlet? What is your true underlying reason? That's just something to consider when you are thinking about why you're doing the work and why you're waking up at certain times to work on your business and why you're staying up late and why. To know your why is something really important to know, that when it gets tough, you know your why, and that's important to know. And it's also something you might not know straight away, but you might also know straight away. And if you do, then use that why, utilize that why to push you forward. All right, 3 last little tips before I go. I'm sorry, like this video is kind of like rambling, it's kind of like all over the place, but I just felt the need, I just felt the want to kind of create this video today. So I hope that it's kind of been helpful. But my three other tips that I will just mention in regards to having a teachers pay teachers mindset is, 1, not everyone's going to understand what you do. There are going to be people who be like, you do what? Like, you sell, how does that work? Like, what I've learned is to not worry about that. If you explain it to someone, or even if you just say, oh yeah, I do this online or whatever, there are just going to be people out there that do not have a clue what you're doing. And they haven't done all the research, so they haven't done all of the things that you have done to know that this can be something viable. So don't worry, don't feel deflated if someone doesn't understand what you're doing or what you're trying to do. Just believe that you know that if you put the work and effort into it, that you can make something of this. And it's okay if that person doesn't understand. As long as you know, if you've got that self-awareness to know, you know what your goals are, you know what you're trying to do here, you know what's at stake here for you, then that's all you need to kind of use to be able to move forward with that, and to not worry about anyone else's opinions, you know, whatever else, because they're not in it. They're not in it. My next tip here is to enjoy the process. It's all fine that you want to get to here on the mountaintop, but a lot of that process of even climbing up to the top is something that you need to try and enjoy as best as you can. For me, I'm going to try my very best to enjoy the process, and to be completely honest, this is something that I've really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed creating. I really love how creative I can be with this. I enjoy it so much that, you know, I want to do it in my spare time. I want to do it. Like, I have to almost stop myself from doing it because I enjoy it that much. And yes, is there hard work involved? Yes. Is there long hours involved? Yes. Is there a lot of sitting down involved? Yes. There's all of that and more, but I do enjoy the creation process. I do enjoy trying to build something that, you know, is something that I've done. You know, I feel really proud that I've been able to do this and kind of had the ability to at least earn some money on this at all. So I feel like, even though I'm coming from a space where I'm still quite a small seller, really, I'm just coming from a place though, like, if you can, just try and fall in love with the process. If you have, I guess for me, like, I don't need to try to fall in love because I actually enjoy the process quite a lot. If you're feeling like it's a chore, it's going to be a lot harder for you to maintain. But if you are feeling like, you know, you love the creative process, you love the ability, the creative freedom that allows you to put and release what you want to release, really good if you can enjoy the process along the way. Lastly is, don't compare yourself to others. Even me, including on this journey, you might be watching my videos and be like, oh, you know, she's earned this much and she's done this, maybe I can do that. And my journey will be so completely different to yours, and that is, like I said in a previous video, that is the beauty of Teachers Pay Teachers. There will be no journeys that are exactly the same. This is so individualized because it's individual in nature, it's individual in niche. It's like, it's so individualized that you just can't compare. You can't compare also people's life experiences. People have been teaching for a certain amount of times. People have other skills like graphic design. And if we're talking specifically about Clipart here, you know, people have, like I said, graphic design backgrounds, and they're coming into this, or they have people that they know that are graphic design and whatever else. So they're coming at a level that they've got prior knowledge or prior experience. I've never done a graphic design, you know, background or anything like that, so this is kind of all very new to me. But I've always loved drawing, I've always loved creating, I've always loved that side. Like, that's something I used to do as a child. I do that like in my spare time, I do that in my free time. I loved drawing when I was a kid. And it's funny because sometimes when you are an adult, you tend to go back to those things that you loved doing as a kid as a hobby, but to be able to, I guess in my case, to be able to monetize something that I love to do. Like, when I was a child, I loved to draw. I love to draw now still. To be able to draw for passion but also for monetary gain as well it's amazing to be able to see the potential that it can bring over time. So I'm really sorry if this was super rambly. I'm really sorry that this is just kind of like my thoughts in a word vomit in a way. It wasn't really planned, it wasn't really strategic in what I was kind of saying, but hopefully someone out there kind of got some value in this video. I do want to say, if you are on your journey and you are one thinking, you know, is this going to work out for me? You can't fail if you don't quit, for one. That's something I always believe. And I think too, like, if you follow those kind of little steps, again, your idea of success will be different to me, but if you can follow those kind of main key foundational pillars of delayed gratification, having tunnel vision, and showing up and doing the work, those three things, I think that allows you to have the tools for potential for great success, regardless of however that comes to you. That's just my thoughts on the matter. I just want to say it's really important to believe in yourself and to be your biggest cheerleader, because when everyone else around you doesn't know what you're doing, doesn't know what you're trying to achieve, doesn't know the things you're kind of going through mentally, or you know what you're trying to do here, know that there are people that understand. Like, I understand what your journey is going to be like if you are at the beginning days and even trying to build something. It's a lot of hard work, it is. And even for me, I'm in my early days, I'm not an expert at all, but these are the things that I've learned, and these are things that I just want to share for anyone else that might want to have that bit of encouragement. Teachers Pay Teachers is, as I say, like I said in the video, not a sprint, it's a marathon. I've heard that over and over again. And there has to be some truth from that, because a lot of people say the same thing. So if we know that it's not a sprint and it's a marathon, we just need to keep going. We gotta keep creating, we gotta keep motivated, we gotta keep loving it, we gotta keep just showing up and doing the work. And I just wanna say, let's do it together, and I hope that this maybe inspired you in some way to at least think in a different way about it all. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate that, and I'm so grateful for all my subscribers that have chosen to join me on this journey. If you got any value from the video, please don't forget to like it so I know that this kind of was something that you enjoyed, and to see whether I will make any more mindset videos. But just for now, this is just something on my mind and I just wanted to say. So that is that, and I hope that you guys have an amazing day, and I will catch you in my next video. Adios!